everybody. Kenny Matthews here with Balls to the Wall, episode number 47. My sidekick buddy down there, Billy Martin Jr. How are you doing, buddy?
You know, I'm doing swell. I watched a game here with our old friend Jim Dent, and
yes,
good.
Yes, and we will get to that in here in just a moment. But we do appreciate you guys listening to us each week. Appreciate if you can subscribe to us on YouTube, Spotify, Anchor, and Rumble. If you subscribe, please comment, put a comment in the comment section there. You can be an emoji. You can tell us that we stink, that we're good, that we're that you know we can give up our day jobs to do this. It doesn't matter to hey, just put a comment in there. That really helps us out because it lets us know kind of what you want, what kind of content you want going forward. And Billy, we're going to do a rapid fire of this one because we're going to be doing a weekly picks against the NFL line going forward here that I've been really excited about with our buddy, the aforementioned Jim Dent, Billy Martin, and myself. And we picked 3 games against the line each week. So we want you guys to tune in on that too. We'll get that up before the Thursday night games, just in case we do pick a team that's playing in the Thursday night game. But yes, we're going to do a little dinner at the end. Whoever is the winner take all. The other 2 will have to pay the tab for a steak dinner somewhere here in the Dallas Metroplex sometime in February when that Super Bowl's wrapped up. But yeah, kind of looking forward to that, buddy.
I mean, this is such a fun time of year for me because we're creeping into the baseball playoffs, and
yes, we are.
Football's here, basketball's here.
Well, I wanted to start off with college football, just a couple of quick hits with you. Billy, what did you kind of take away from the weekend there of college football? I'll kind of go first on one note. I was really surprised that the Oklahoma Sooners went into Lincoln and pretty much, curb stomped the Cornhuskers the way they did. I was kind of worried that, getting Scott Frost fired the week before, you kind of get rejuvenated sometimes behind the interim head coach. You kind of come out and shoot a real loaded gun, kind of like Texas did the week before against Alabama when you're a prohibitive, dog in the fight. And they came out in the first 5 minutes and really hit the Sooners in the mouth with the early 7-0 lead. But it was a whimper after that. And I just started thinking about this, Billy. You and I in our lifetime, we've only known Nebraska until the last decade to be a top 5 program in the nation. And now it's gone 10 years of some really lean times up in there. And I think you and I may have mentioned this before. I don't know if that's going to turn around. I just don't know if it is anymore. I'm not sure.
I'm not either because, look, man, Tom Osborne's gone. It's not what it used to be. And my mother's whole family went to the University of Nebraska. And, back when you and I were growing up, it was Nebraska, Texas, those Notre Dame, those were the programs that everybody knew was going to be a top 10 team. And at the end of the day, Lincoln is in Austin. Lincoln's, it's just not that great of a place. And unless you're really big on cornfields and chilly weather, it's pretty amazing the coaches that have gone there and won in baseball and football. And
Sure.
But I don't think we're going to see it moving forward because what do they really have to offer?
It's a tough recruiting tool. You don't know if the NIL is going to, NIL, I guess, could turn that, but I never hear Nebraska being the leader in the pack in NIL money. So, I'm just not sure, but I hate it. It's bad. I think it's bad for football that Nebraska's not, a perennial top 10 football team. And the bad thing about it is that, you kind of sold yourself to the devil when you took the money in the Big Ten, and now you're almost mired in, in irrelevance right now.
Well,
kind of a shame.
They should hire us to be their next athletic directors, and we'll turn that around.
Bring Matt Campbell or Matt Rule there, baby. That would be my first call. There's no question. My second note of the week, this past week, is what about Appalachian State? I don't know if you got to see the radio guys call in the booth when that came down, but I love it when you see the Hail Mary work. It's always great to see. Appalachian State's what, 2 points away from being undefeated this year. Would have been beating North Carolina, A&M, and I know it was Troy. It was like, I did expect there to be kind of an emotional lull a little bit against Troy this past week. Winning at Kyle Field the way they did, and everybody telling you how good you were last week. You overlooked Troy coming into town, but I thought that was a great play, and I just love it when I see it being performed and perfected the way it was.
No, I mean, how long does Jimbo keep his job? I mean, will he make it another week if he loses one of his next two?
Well, you have to give him some credit. He did win this last Saturday when a lot of people didn't think that they were going to beat Miami. So, but still, just scoring, not scoring at will at home that's not a good thing. And now they're about to go on the road here, and the schedule doesn't get any easier for Jimbo. So we'll see how that goes.
No, Aggie fans, they're not very forgiving.
And I do have something that I did. University of Oregon fan, please, can you show some class? Saying F the Mormons as a chant throughout the game last week, that's kind of uncalled for. That's sacrilegious by every sense of the measure of the world. You don't mess with people's religion. You don't mess with their intensity. And, I know they issued an apology after the fact, but Billy, you just act like you have some class and act like you've been there before with some success.
Yeah, it's about the game. It's about the players. I mean, come on.
Crazy. It's crazy. It's just crazy. I couldn't believe what I was hearing, but oh well. In this day and age, I should believe what I hear now. I shouldn't be surprised. Let's bounce over to the National Football League. I had a couple quick notes. What about the Golden Globes impersonation that opened up between the Saints and Tampa Bay last week with Mike Evans and Lattimore? I did get a kick out of it a little bit, but it cost them now. You get suspended behind it. When you get in some fights like that. Now, back in the day, you can get away with fighting, and there was no, a small fine or whatever may be the case. And that could really, with already Tampa Bay having some injuries already on their team, and now you take a healthy Mike Evans out of the lineup just because he wants to put his hands on somebody. I think Tom Brady may throw more than his iPad and helmet this weekend when he plays.
The part I have a hard time with, let alone, one of people's favorite moments in hockey is to watch a fight.
Right.
Okay. Think about it. They like to watch that in football too. And who are football players, right? They're tough men. They're running headfirst into each other.
Yes,
and,
they are.
And so how do you not expect that a little bit? I understand what they're trying to do with the quarterback. Trying to keep them from taking those cheap shots, and that's different than something like this, where two guys are squared off and choosing to puff up at each other. Sure, fine them, but come on, fans love that. We're talking about it right now because that's entertainment.
Sure.
So put them back out there.
I will take a couple of things. I thought last weekend's games was the epic proportion of teams giving up big leads. Baltimore gives up a big lead at home to Miami. The Raiders give up a big lead at home to Arizona. Billy, I think you and I have talked about this before. It seems like these head coaches need a game management coach sometimes, on that sidelines. It seems like these guys are getting a little too cute for their own britches sometimes, when you can just run the football and have that clock running where it allows no time to come back. I know a lot of people were thinking in the Jets-Cleveland game that Hunt should have downed the ball at the 1 yard line there because the Jets didn't have any timeouts. There was a minute and 50 something change left in the game, but he scored. And the reason why I didn't have a problem with the score, Billy, there, anytime you can go up 2 TDs 1.51 left in the game, you expect to win that game. Now the kicker misses the extra point. That hurt.
John starts singing his song, right?
Yeah, but I mean, you've got to win that game, right? I mean, even if you get the onside kick, you got to go 65 yards with no timeouts again to score. Again, I think that the game management in the NFL can use some tutoring, to say the least.
Oh, but it's always so much easier for us in retrospect to make those calls.
Not living the heat of the moment.
On the sidelines, watching the game. If you said it then, okay, but afterwards, I kind of scratched my head because we also don't know all the mitigating factors that these coaches know. That their center's about to pass out because
right,
of one reason or another, and this guard with 2 broken ribs is peeing blood, and
right.
they have to make calls sometimes that don't make sense to us because we don't know what's going on. We don't know that the kickers
that's fair.
Really got a major ankle issue right now, and because they don't want to let that stuff out unless they have to. So there are reasons sometimes for it.
I think it's an excellent point. Nice vision there. I like that one, Mr. Martin. You did good. You turned me a little. We appreciate you listening to us here on Balls on the Wall, episode number 47. Appreciate if you guys can subscribe to us on Rumble, YouTube, Spotify, and Anchor, and make a comment there. We would greatly appreciate that. Billy, I want to go to a couple of baseball notes. We had a wonderful situation, wonderful game last night where Aaron Judge joined the 60 homer club last night with his 60th homer in the top of the 9th inning, preceded by a Stanton 400-foot single, 10-foot single for a grand slam for a walk-off for the Yankees. But I wanted to say this about Judge. Great picture. You sent that to me. I love that picture. I absolutely love that picture. I think we were talking last night. Unfortunately, this should be the Yankee club. It should be just Yankees in this 60 homer or above club. We've got 3 that are in that club with them that, we beat that dead horse to death already with Bond, Sosa, and McGuire being in there. The reason why I said that I think that the Judge deal is such a big deal, being able to do this with the New York media already, turning down that $300 million contract at the beginning of the year, which could have been a distraction going forward. You even talked a little bit about during the season. I think he only hit 1 home run in his first 15 or 16 games and so he got off to a slow start. Billy, I mean, I wasn't around in 1961 when Maris did this. It's the best offensive season I've seen as a baseball fan so far. What about you?
It's really exciting. I mean, we've always thought he was great. We've always hoped and said, if he could just stay healthy, there's no telling what this guy could do. But I mean, in reality, and here's more proof that power is the last thing to come. Look at his minor league numbers. In Charleston, he hit 9 home runs. In Tampa, 8 home runs. In Trenton, 12 home runs in Double-A. Then he got to Triple-A and hit 28. And now look what he's doing in the big leagues. I mean, he was obviously strong enough from day one. He's 7'11".
Yeah.
But it's great for the game. It is appropriate that he's a Yankee and makes it that much more exciting. And he was a little miffed that they let that 300 number out.
Yes, he was.
And I hope this isn't his way of saying, see you later. I'm gonna leave with a proverbial bang. But I also have a hard time thinking, why would he want to go anywhere else doing what he's doing right now?
He's been pretty adamant about wanting to stay a Yankee all throughout this time anyway. He just said he wanted to negotiate after the season was over. He definitely betted on himself and won. There's no question about that. Another side note there is, I mean, he even had a position change, kind of playing center field a lot, for the Yankees, which, it's, a lot of things, a lot of moving parts to have a season like this where he is approaching Triple Crown numbers, on top of all that. He's batting 316, 318, and got the RBIs and the home runs, and it's kind of like this.
I mean,
Yeah.
he can get a triple double.
And guess who's number 2 in home runs? Kyle Schwarber for Philadelphia. He's got 40. So he's 20 home runs better than second place. I mean, that's amazing when home run numbers are down. Actually, everybody thinks it's a swing and miss game now. Home run numbers are down across the board. I mean, it's not like it's not what it was a couple of years ago when that ball was just flying out of here. It's just remarkable what he's done, and to do it with that much pressure in that media mecca. Your dad knows a whole lot about what that media mecca is in New York, and to do that day after day after day that's salute to that guy, man. He's had a hell of a year.
And I'm gonna go see a couple of the games Monday and Tuesday here in Texas, and I'm taking my mother. And
Nice.
Think about, I'm probably gonna be witnessing some history.
Yes, you will. They walked him tonight. He didn't get any home runs tonight, so you just got to get him through the 4 games there in New York, and maybe he has 61, and maybe he does 62 in the new Home Depot stadium that we got.
With some former Yankees family people like Kay Mercer, Bobby Mercer's wife, and
nice.
David Mantle, Mickey Mantle's, who, so
that's gonna be good. That's gonna be good.
He was alive when 61 went down the first time. So
excellent. I did want to move to a sadder note. We'll just briefly mention it. We're taping this on Wednesday here, and Maury Wills passed away yesterday. Great leadoff batter for the Dodgers and for the Pirates at the end of his career. One of the best stolen base guys that ever suited up here. Kind of changed the game a little bit there in the 60s, in the early 60s and late 60s there for the Dodgers. I believe he was a 2-time champ, also World Series champion with the Dodgers too. I say he's a borderline Hall of Fame guy. He played 14 years. He's got almost 2,200 hits. I know he's in the top 10 in stolen bases. It's just, there's not that breakout year batting average or whatever year that kind of says, hey, this is, but he was a great human. A lot of people didn't realize he also was one of the first Black managers. He coached Seattle 1980 and 81. So, he left an impact here, and he was 89 years old. So he lived a long, full life and was still helping the Dodgers up until his last, few months of his life here out there in LA. So good guy. I can't put him into the Hall of Fame. I think him and Lou Whitaker are kind of the same. I can't exactly just stamp them into Cooperstown just yet. I'm sure the Veterans Committee down the road may put these guys in, later in their lives. But man, hate to see when the good guys go away.
I do too. He's former Fort Worth Cat.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that.
I believe he may have been the first or one of the first Black Fort Worth Cats.
Wow.
I did read something about that.
Mm-hmm.
But here's something really cool and ironic that literally about 4 days ago, 3 days before he passed,
mm-hmm.
I was doing a podcast with Jeff Fry.
Oh, yeah.
Former major leaguer, 9.5-year career. And we were talking about when he went from Texas to basically Oklahoma City to the Boston Red Sox. And I kind of helped him out there a little bit. I was representing Kevin Kennedy at the time, who was Ranger manager and became Red Sox manager, and helped facilitate Kevin signing him and getting him in Boston. And Jeff really helped that team and added a big infusion of what they needed at the time. But Kevin brought a lot of those former Dodgers out to be part-time coaches. He'd bring the Sandy Koufax out for a week to work with his pitchers, and he brought Maury Wills out one time. And Jeff said, man, the 2 weeks he spent with us, I learned more about stealing bases than I'd learned in my whole career. And he goes, one of the things he taught me that was kind of silly when you think back about it was, don't wait till you get on first base to start studying the pitcher. Study him when you're sitting in the bench. Study him when you're on deck.
Right.
Notice his tendencies there, and just like here I've been in the game my whole life. I'm 6 years into the big leagues, 5 years in the big leagues, and that was the first time I heard that.
Yeah.
He's like, man, he goes, I literally was 9 for 9 on my next stolen bases. And he goes, I kept thinking to myself, what if we kept him on the team all year?
Yeah.
All year long.
That's awesome, man. I like hearing stories like that. Really do. Two quick notes. The Royals fired their GM today, Dayton Moore. He was the architect of the 2015 World Series team. Again, I don't know what's all around that, but on the surface, I don't know what you can really expect, at that point in time when you can't really keep your own free agents or go out and acquire free agents. I guess you can say you're taking the Tampa Bay model sometimes, but it takes a unique franchise to make the Tampa Bay franchise work. I'm not sure. I don't know all the particulars to it, but I just don't know how much more you could have asked from that general manager to make the Royals competitive. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'll tell you, he's a great man. I'm a huge Dayton Moore fan. I've known him for years.
So,
the only thing I was worried about him doing this year was I was worried that he might draft his own son out of the University of Arkansas, who was just an outstanding player. And I got a message to him because I so didn't want him to, only because growing up the son of, I knew what kind of added pressure that would cause. And it was the last thing I wanted for his son, who I love, who's going to be a big leaguer one day. And somebody's going to be smart enough to bring Dayton back, because
good baseball man.
Talking about a great baseball man. And I'm sorry, look at that team. There are some damn good young players on that team.
Right.
That are going to be stars.
And when they become stars, they're going to be playing for somebody else.
Absolutely. And he even caught some flack in Kansas City when he didn't re-sign Hosmer. And all I got to say is, look at the numbers.
Right.
I think he let the right guy go.
Right.
But, we don't know, once again, we don't know all the backstories and everything that's going on. But
Sure.
I know every time I've dealt with that organization, I know they shoot straight. They always get back to you, and they're just class people. And that's because those were the kind of people he hired.
Right.
And I watched a guy that worked for him for a long time leave, take another job, and realize how miserable he was at the new team, because they didn't have the same kind of morals and ethics that he did. And he took him right back.
Wow.
And it was pretty neat. Not many guys would do that in baseball.
Good baseball town too, Kansas City. Good baseball town. So you want that franchise to be relevant again. You definitely do. Yes. Baseball is not near as good when the Royals are not relevant. There's no question. No question at all. I did want to have a retraction from last week. It seems like the NBA got it right, making Mr. Robert Sarver basically sell now the Suns and the WNBA team for his racial and his let's say this as being a chauvinist pig. Saying like, I want to take a retraction. I thought maybe the year suspension was going to be long enough. I thought that may be ideal, but maybe Donald Sterling rolled over and said, "Hey, if he could say those things and he didn't have to sell the team, I want my Clippers back." So props to the NBA with a swift kick. If you heard Sauber's apology, he kind of does something about he says something about society. I want you guys to go look at it because I don't want to get political on it. But he really takes a little stab at way society is right now is the reason why he is forced to sell his team. Well, just don't drop M-bombs and don't talk about girls' boobs and don't be grabbing your crotch. Maybe that might be a start, when you're the owner of the team.
Yeah. Or how about just man up and say, you know what? I was an idiot for saying those things. And
we forgive very quickly.
The punishment I get, and I need to grow up.
We forgive very quickly.
Forgiving him if he'd have said something like that.
Hey, just think about Andy Pettit. He apologized for taking some illegal substance, and you don't hear anybody say a bad thing about Andy Pettit since.
Nope.
Just a minute. We're off to the next newspaper anyway. It doesn't matter. That's the old story. But you keep reopening it now with your big mouth. Just go away. Just go away. I'm not gonna feel sorry for a billionaire. I'm sorry. I'm not gonna feel sorry for it. No. And we'll end it here with a thumbs up and thumbs down. And I've got a real big thumbs down, and I won't go in long on this. Arizona State, your president and your athletic director. I know you had to fire Herm Edwards. I understand that. You don't have to fire him on the field when he's walking off at the end of the game. I know they lost to the Hurons at home. I know you were pissed off listening to your alumni and your fan base being pissed. You could have fired him in his office. You don't fire him on the field. Herm Edwards deserved better than that. You guys did him dirty. I mean, I understand that he did a whole lot of illegal stuff in those recruiting weekends during COVID. I'm not dismissing that. I'm not condemning that. But that man deserves better than that fate on the football field where he's just shook the hand of the coach of the other team and he's trying to run off with his team and you grab him and tell him basically you're fired. That was chicken shit what they did to him. Thumbs down, buddy.
Absolutely. And think about this. So if you're the next coach that they're recruiting, I'm getting that written into my contract.
Okay.
Oh, by the way, if you fire me on the field,
yes,
you're going to owe me another $500,000.
Absolutely.
Over what else you owe me, because that is have some class. Have some class.
You tell your coaches to preach class to their team day after day after day after day after day. You undermine his authority by not doing that when your superiors above treat you like trash. It undermines it the whole time. You couldn't wait 100 yards? You could have done it in the tunnel, not where people see it.
No. This goes back to little kid football and stuff. I mean, okay, I coached a Pop Warner football team for my sons, and we won the state championship of Texas, by the way. But there was a league rule that no parents were allowed to talk to the coaches about a game for a 24-hour gestation period. Okay.
Nice.
So if they have that for first to second, third grade football players and their parents, I'm thinking athletic directors could wait at least 100 yards.
I will give Herm credit. He's not made any public statements, has not said anything bad about how he was treated. And I think that goes to a testament to his character. I mean, he was one of the good guys around, and that guy will not You know, he will not get in a war of words with anybody, but he deserved better. He deserved better. And my thumbs up real quickly, Roger Federer, ending a brilliant tennis career. One of the good guys in the game. He came in the game when he really kind of saved the game for a while there, because a lot of the good players were getting older at the time. The Pete Samprases, the Roddicks, those guys are getting older at that time. He came through. And the one thing you can say about Roger Federer, not a lot of people say anything bad. You know, generally when you win so many titles, you generally have that hate. I'm tired of you winning. I'm tired of you winning. I never got that from Roger Federer. We kind of expected it since he didn't play this year because of some knee injuries that he's been having later in his career. But he's got 20 Grand Slams. He's not going to have the most Grand Slams because of the injuries here late in the last couple of years. But he just did it quietly. You didn't hear a whole lot of talk about him off the court. He just showed up. And I didn't realize this. He has the most single titles. He has 115 singles titles, Billy. That's a ton of winning. That's a lot of trophies, man. I mean, now I'm sure his house is big enough to be able to put them all in there. I'm sure of that. But still, 115 titles. That's bringing the racket, baby. I mean, that really is, dude. So my tribute to Roger Federer. He was a class act. I mean, I know he had the deal in Wimbledon on that pre-Wimbledon deal that one time where he kind of walked off the court and all that other stuff. But I mean, to only have one isolated incident in a brilliant 20-plus year career, thumbs up to Roger Federer.
True, but even that, he didn't do it with his mouth.
No.
He was the worst thing we can say about it is him walking off and walking away instead of going with probably the things no telling what he wanted to say that day.
Exactly.
What a serve that guy had.
Played the net and played the baseline.
He was really quick. Yeah, great player, class act, and did it right and avoided controversy his whole career. And
yes, he did.
Yeah, he'll be missed. I hate to see him go this way. I'd love to see him do some, like Serena's doing.
Yeah.
Shock us all with, I still got something in the tank, dang it.
Right.
I'd love to see him get healthy and come back and play a couple more and then say goodbye.
What I read, he didn't want to send off tour or anything of that nature. So it kind of goes into the class that he is. He didn't want that attention. It wasn't about that. He just wanted to go out and just win titles, which he did pretty good. But yeah. So Roger, man, and go enjoy the rest of your life, dude. You more than earned to be able to kick back and do whatever the heck you wanted to do. And you did the game of tennis a solid, especially in the men's side there. When, like we said earlier, when a lot of the good guys were getting older, kind of saved it. So now it'll be the race for who has the most Grand Slam titles, and now it'll be between Djokovic and Nadal going forward now. Federer got close, but couldn't quite get there, man. But that's all right.
Wow.
Well, hey guys, we appreciate you listening to this on Balls of the Wall, episode number 47. We will be back next week. And also, please, if you could, listen to our new segment there with the picks against the NFL line. I think you'll enjoy that with Billy Martin and our buddy Jim Dent, the great Jim, author, one of the great guys around. And Jim Dent, can't wait to keep doing this with a weekly basis with him. It was so great to see his face again. Billy, until next week, man, let's have a good sports weekend, man. Let's have some fun.
Absolutely. Y'all take it easy. See y'all next week.
See ya.